In the previous sessions, we have discussed about the isomerism, including anomerism and epimerism. In this session and the next session, we'll be taking up the derivatives of exoses and pentoses. There are two sessions on this topic. In this first topic, our objectives are the learner shall be able to describe various exoses and pentose derivatives and their importance. Let us see here there are many exoses like glucose, okay, then galactose and mannose and pentoses and pentoses. Okay. So as far as the derivatives are concerned, so there is a substitution in one of the groups of the sugar. Okay. Suppose there may be in case of OH, so OH may be replaced with a substituent. Okay, that may be the one case of derivatives, one type of derivatives. Or okay, carbon atom. Okay, then oxidized. Okay, so carboxyl group. Or there may be this aldehyde or keto group may be reduced into an alcohol. Okay. Or there may be removal of oxygen, O group, from the O atom. Okay, from this OH removed. So these are the various possible permutations. Then, what are these various derivatives? The derivatives are, one is phospho sugars. Okay, that is the one type of derivative. The second one is amino sugar. Okay, the third one is deoxy. Okay, sugar. Okay, then the fourth one is sugar acids. The fifth one is sugar alcohol. Okay, so these are the various derivatives. In this session, we'll be taking up the phospho sugars and amino sugars. In the next session, so we'll be taking up the deoxy sugars and sugar acids. Okay, sugar acids and sugar alcohols. Okay, so these are the various type of derivatives we'll be taking. The first one is phospho sugars. It is phospho sugars. Phospho sugars. So let me write the structure of the exose. Three types of phospho sugars are possible. This is the first carbon. Okay, this is the first carbon. Let us concentrate on this one. Okay, then so this is the sixth carbon. First and sixth. Okay, first and sixth. Okay, in one of the sugars, suppose if we say this is the A and this is the B, this is the C. Let us discuss about the A. At the first carbon, there is hydroxyl group is present. In this hydroxyl group, so what I will write here is, here there is phosphate group. Here it is, a phosphate group is present. So what we say is here, so glucose 1-phosphate. This I will write glucose 1-phosphate. Okay. In the next one, B, let me write again here. Okay. Then here it is. At the sixth carbon, there is a phosphate group is there. We write glucose 6-phosphate. At the C, you can see here. Okay. So there is the phosphate group is here, and again here it is. the phosphate group is here. It is glucose 1,6. Glucose 1,6, okay, diphosphate. Here it is glucose 1 phosphate, here it is glucose 6 phosphate, and here it is glucose 1,6 diphosphate. Glucose 1,6 diphosphate. Okay, so this is about the phosphate sugars. Let us discuss about the pentose sugars. Pentose sugars, so they are part of the nucleic acids. Okay, so pentose is the nitrogenous base is added. So there is a nucleoside. Okay, then to this nucleoside, if phosphate is added, then that becomes nucleotide. Okay, nucleotide. Okay, like that. Okay, then what is the importance of these phosphate sugars? Glucose, to participate in various reactions, it cannot participate. The reason is it is inactive. Okay, then so if it is converted to glucose 1 phosphate or glucose 6 phosphate or glucose 1,6 diphosphate, they are active. They can participate in a metabolic reactions. By addition of the phosphoric acid, phosphate group, they become anionic. Once they become anionic, when glucose enter the cell, after entering the cell, they convert it to glucose 1 phosphate or glucose 6 phosphate, so they cannot escape the cell. That is what happens when glucose enters the liver cells, hepatic cells. They are kept, they are locked down inside the cell. They cannot escape. Okay, they are trapped. We can say they are trapped within the cells. This is about the phosphate sugars. Next objective is about amino sugars. Okay, in the amino sugars, there is a replacement of OH group with the amino group. Mostly the second carbon. At the second carbon, okay, the OH group is replaced by amino group. So that is leading to amino sugar. Okay, then let me explain by writing the structure of the any hexose. Okay, any hexose. I am writing the structure of hexose. I am taking the second carbon. In the second carbon, so there is the addition of the amino group is there. This becomes amino sugar. The examples are, so generally the amino sugars, they are there in the beta form, not the alpha form. Okay, so there are beta D glucosamine. Okay, then beta D galactosamine. Okay, then beta D manosamine. Okay, these are various amino sugars. To these amino sugars, there may be addition of the acetyl group. Let us see here. I'll write again the amino sugar. At the second carbon, there is amino group is there. To this amino group, there is addition of the acetyl group. So they are N-acetylated sugars. So what does it mean? N-acetylated sugars. Acetyl group is added to the amino group. So that is the reason they are called N-acetylated sugars. So then, when you talk about these amino sugars, are there any examples of these N-acetylated amino sugars? Yes, a number of them are there. Mostly, so they are galactosamine, glucosamine. Let us see N-acetyl glucosamine or galactosamine. Okay, so they are part of glycoproteins and proteoglycans. Okay, so they are the glycoproteins, proteoglycans. They are part of the connective tissue. So, in amino sugars, one of the hydroxyl group may be sulfated. Sulfate group may be added, sulfated. The sulfated amino sugars, so they are, some of them are antibiotics. Antibiotics. The examples are erythromycin and carbomycin. Erythromycin and carbomycin. One of the important acetylated amino sugars is NANA. It is called N-acetylated neuraminic acid. N-acetylated neuraminic acid. It is also known as sialic acid. Okay. It is synthesized with the help of manosamine plus pyruvic acid. Okay, very important molecule. It is part of glycoproteins and glycolipids. Okay, glycolipids. So this sialic acid present at the end of the sugar. It is present at the end of the sugar. At the end of the sugar, okay, sugar. So there is long sugar chains are present. It is present at the end of the sugar chains, connected to the surfaces of cells and soluble proteins. Okay, the presence of sialic acid is at the end of the sugar chains, connected to the surface of cells and soluble proteins. Okay, so one of the important which I would like to discuss is, so metastatic cancer cells, okay, often express high density of sialic acid. Express a high density of sialic acid. Okay, sialic acid, rich glycoproteins. Okay, so I'm discussing about the metastatic cancer cells. So they express a high density of sialic acid containing rich glycoproteins. Okay, when there is a high amount of sialic acid is there, on the surface of the cells, okay, so what happens, there will be high negative okay, charges on cell membrane. Okay, so when there is a high amount of negative charges in cell membrane, what happens? It creates repulsion. Okay, repulsion between cells. When there is a high amount of repulsion between cells is there, it helps cancer cells. Okay, cancer cells enter, okay, bloodstream. Metastatic cancer cells, so they express glycoproteins which are having high density of sialic acid. So once there is a high amount of sialic acid is there on the surface of the cells, so there is an increase in negative charges on cell membrane, which creates repulsion between cells. So because of the repulsion, so it is helpful to the cancer cells to spread enter the bloodstream because sialic acid, they are present on the cell surface. They carry out many the functions in both health and disease. Let me summarize today's topic. Today, we took up the derivatives of hexoses and pentoses. Okay, so in this, the objective set were one of the objectives was at the end of the session, the learner shall be able to describe various hexoses and pentoses, their derivatives, then their importance. So there are glucose is there, galactose, mannose, and many pentoses are there. So how the derivatives are formed? Suppose one of the hydroxyl group is replaced with a substituent R. Carbon atom is oxidized into the carboxyl group, or aldehyde or keto group, they are reduced into an alcohol. OH, in the OH, O atom is removed. Okay, then we discussed about various types of derivatives: phosphor sugars, amino sugars, deoxy sugars. Okay, phosphor sugars, amino sugars, deoxy sugars, sugar acids, sugar alcohols. In this session, we have taken up the phosphor sugars. In the phosphor sugars, we have discussed about the glucose 1-phosphate and glucose 6-phosphate and glucose 1,6-diphosphate. Like also, we discussed about the pentoses. In this, suppose what happens, nitrogenous bases are there, they combine with the pentoses, so leads to formation of nucleoside. If phosphate is added, that leads to nucleotide. Nucleotides are part of DNA and RNA. Glucose as such is inactive. Okay, if it is converted to glucose 1-phosphate, glucose 6-phosphate, glucose 1,6-diphosphate, they participate in various metabolic reactions. Because of the phosphate group, they become anionic, so that once in the cell, the glucose 1-phosphate, 6-phosphate is formed, they cannot come out of the cell, they are trapped within the cell. Okay, then we discussed about the amino sugars. So OH in the second carbon replaced, OH the second carbon is replaced by NH2 group. Generally this is seen in beta sugars. Okay, here the NH2 at the second carbon. So the examples are beta D glucosamine, so beta D galactosamine and beta D mannose. Okay, then to this amino group, if acetyl group is added, then that becomes N-acetylated sugars. Okay, so that becomes N-acetyl glucosamine. So they are part of the glycoproteins or proteoglycans. Then this one of the OH group may be sulfated. The sulfated N-acetyl sugars, so they are part of the some of the antibiotics like erythromycin or carbomycin. Okay, one of the N-acetylated sugars we have discussed, that is NANA, N-acetylated neuraminic acid. It is also called as sialic acid. It is a combination of mannosamine and pyruvic acid. It is a part of the glycoproteins and glycolipids. So normally in healthy conditions, so these sialic acids, they are present at the end of the sugar chains connected to surfaces of cells and soluble proteins. They act as receptors. There are many other functions are there in the normal physiological conditions. In the pathological conditions, suppose if you take the metastatic cancer cells, so what happens? So these cells, they express the glycoproteins which are having the high density of sialic acids. Okay, because of the presence of the sialic acid on the surface of the cells, there is a high negative charges are there on the cell membrane that creates a repulsive forces between the cells that helps the cancer cells to enter, okay, bloodstream. The spreading of the cancer is taking place. This is about the some of the derivatives like phosphor sugars and amino sugars. In the next session, I will be taking up the deoxy sugars, sugar acids and sugar alcohols. Thank you very much.